A meteorite fell from the sky, penetrating through the roof and hitting a woman named Olivia squarely. The landlady quickly called 911. The firefighters rushed to the scene. Upon entering the house, they immediately noticed the large hole in the roof. Olivia, lying motionless on the sofa, had been completely pierced by the meteorite. The paramedics examined her body and found that all vital signs were normal. It was a puzzling situation. Olivia's kidney, however, had been torn apart, but luckily the meteorite had not hit her spine. Despite the severity of the injury, Olivia seemed to be in good condition now, likely due to the weighted blanket that narrowed the blast radius. It had a cauterizing effect as it passed through the body, and also numbed the nerves. Meanwhile, firefighter Buck found the meteorite under the sofa.
Guys, I found it! All the way from outer space.
Can I grab it? Doesn't belong to you, Buck.
It belongs in a museum.
Buck told Olivia that she was the second person to be hit by a meteorite since the 1950s. She was about to become famous since the sofa had fused with her. The firefighters had no choice but to use an electric saw to cut the entire sofa apart. They then carried Olivia to the nearby hospital for treatment. The boy's side was ripped wide open, but his parents were not at home. He was bleeding badly, his life hanging by a thread just moments ago. The babysitter had called 911 saying Braden was playing in his room. When he accidentally fell off his bed, the paramedics quickly checked on him and found that Braden had already lost consciousness. When they turned him over, they saw his side had been ripped wide open by the bed rail, lifting his shirt. They discovered the wound was extremely severe. By now, Braden had lost a lot of blood and was in critical condition. Emily asked where his parents were. The babysitter said they were at a play and had their phones turned off. There was no time to wait. They needed to get Braden to the hospital immediately. The paramedics quickly dressed his wounds, lifted him onto the ambulance, and instructed the babysitter to wait for his parents to return home. Braden's condition was deteriorating rapidly. Sylvie told Emily to hold on as they were going to fly, but just then, a truck suddenly appeared, blocking the ambulance's path. To make matters worse, the truck spilled its load of ceramic piping, leaving the ambulance no time to react. The ambulance's tire was punctured, forcing them to pull over. Sylvie urgently called for backup, but was told it would take 10 minutes for another ambulance to arrive. Braden couldn't wait that long. Sylvie had no choice but to run onto the road to stop a car. Given the urgency, she stepped right in front of an oncoming vehicle.
What are you doing, lady?
Hearing it was a life and death situation, the driver immediately offered his car. Emily quickly carried Braden into the car,
Meet us at Chicago Med.
and they sped toward the hospital. Although they managed to get a car, the boy was barely holding on.
I'm losing him, Brett.
Luckily, the hospital had been alerted in advance, and staff were waiting outside with a gurney. At this point, both Emily and Sylvie tried to catch their breath. The man was cut on the thigh by a chainsaw. The pain made him scream in agony. He was in a lot of pain. Sylvie took out fentanyl. She quickly injected 25 milliliters into the man and asked how he felt, but the man said he felt nothing at all. Sylvie thought the dosage wasn't enough, so she injected another 25 milliliters. She asked the man again, but he still felt nothing.
You gotta do something, please.
She continued increasing the dosage until it reached maximum dose. Usually such a high dose would make someone feel drowsy, but the man was still writhing in pain. This made his wife panic even more. Finally, with no other options, they had to take the man to the hospital. After an examination by the doctor, they found no trace of fentanyl in the man's system. Sylvie insisted that this was impossible as she had personally administered the injections. Chief Coulson asked her how well she knew her new partner Mackie. He mentioned that they had seen cases before of drugs being swapped out for saline. Later that evening at a gathering, the group discussed the matter again. Cruz suddenly recalled a previous case where an addict tried to steal fentanyl from a medical kit. They suspected they might be facing a similar situation. Sylvie remembered a girl who had a seizure and didn't want to go to the hospital. When Sylvie and Mackie attended to her, their bag was left on the ground and her boyfriend could have swapped something.
It's really important that you go to the hospital so the doctors can figure out why it happened.
No, I don't want to go to the hospital.
But this could be really serious. She needs to go to the doctor.
I'll try to talk to her.
It now seemed like the entire situation was staged. Sylvie and Mackie went to 911 to speak to Hannah and tried to narrow down the identities of the man and woman from the seizure case, but they had no luck.
No, sorry, I couldn't be more help.
All right, we should get to shift.
Later, Hannah from 911 called Sylvie. She said they had just received a call similar to the seizure incident. Sylvie and Mackie headed over to the location. It turned out to be the same to people.
It's all an act. She didn't have a seizure. She was just distracting you while he swapped out the vial.
Son of a
Doesn't prove anything.
Empty your pockets.
No, hell no. You don't tell me what to do.
Mackie called for backup, and the two individuals were taken into custody. Chief Coulson was there and told them nice work. In the tunnel, two trucks had a severe rear-end collision. To everyone's surprise, the front truck caught fire with a strange white flame. Just as the firefighters were preparing for the rescue, the driver who had regained consciousness demanded they evacuate immediately. Staring at the fiercely burning white flames, the captain reassured the driver, saying the liquid nitrogen truck was already on its way. However, the driver's next words made the captain tense up instantly. He didn't have time to think and immediately contacted dispatch, demanding the evacuation of this area within a 3-block radius, ordering all non-essential personnel to move outside the perimeter immediately. It turned out that just moments ago, the driver named Ernest had checked the cargo and discovered that the company, to save costs, had directly placed radioactive nuclear waste cobalt-60 in the truck. At this moment, if the white flames ignited the material, the radiation levels would rival those of Chernobyl. Upon learning the truth, the captain didn't hesitate anymore. He ordered all team members to the exit to direct traffic, hoping hazmat and nitrogen trucks could arrive sooner. He stayed behind alone to rescue the driver. However, due to the emergency evacuation order, the entire city's traffic had come to a standstill. The hazmat and nitrogen trucks were stuck in a severe traffic jam. The team wanted to return to support the captain, but he sternly refused. The barrel containing cobalt-60 had already been ignited by the white flames. As the detection meter turned from green to red, the radiation level had already reached a terrifying gamma level. More people entering the scene wouldn't help at all. At this moment, the only thing he could do was pick up a fire extinguisher, even though it had no effect on the white flames. Just then the hazmat and nitrogen trucks finally arrived at the scene, the team didn't hesitate anymore and rushed back with hoses. With the application of liquid nitrogen, the eerie and chilling flames were finally extinguished. The radiation levels quickly returned to normal. Ernest was also rescued soon after. However, at this moment, everyone began to worry about the captain. He had been exposed to radiation for too long, and irreversible damage was highly likely. But as the captain of the firefighters, he did not regret his actions. Fortunately, after a medical checkup, most of the captain's indicators were healthy, with only a few requiring observation, but it wouldn't affect his job in the future.
The man simply listened to a recording, and his body temperature shot up to 40 degrees Celsius. It turned out to be a virus transmitted through language, so when people went out they didn't wear masks. They had to wear earmuffs, because once infected by this virus, one would experience continuous high fever, speak nonsense, their brain would fail and they would die. Those infected were called jabberer. One day, a woman in the supermarket asked the man about something. He didn't hear her clearly, so he took off his earmuffs, but unexpectedly the woman suddenly began speaking nonsense. The man then realized that this woman was a jabberer. The cashier immediately sounded the alarm and urgently pressed the isolation gate button. However, the man and a boy didn't have time to get out, and they were trapped inside with the woman. Seeing that the boy wasn't wearing earmuffs, the woman began to jabber to him frantically. The man quickly covered the boy's ears to prevent him from being infected, but he immediately felt the boy's head temperature rising, so he removed his earmuffs and placed them on the boy's head. Afterward, the woman attacked the man violently. Gradually, he began to feel dizzy. With the last bit of his willpower, he managed to break a window and escape from the supermarket. Later, the police reviewed the thermal video and discovered that when the man was first infected, his temperature rose rapidly, but then it immediately returned to normal. This suggested that the man might be the one who possesses the antibodies. A man was bitten by a shark, but not on the beach. It happened on the freeway. Firefighters quickly arrived at the scene to find a big tiger shark. As it turned out, the group of people was transporting the shark to release it into the wild. Unfortunately, a huge accident on the freeway and the shark spilt out onto the road. Curious firefighter asked how the man's arm ended up in the shark's mouth. His companion explained that the man was trying to get what water was left in the water pump. He was accidentally bitten while attempting to assist. This shark has very little time before it can't breathe anymore. The firefighters prepared to kill the shark to retrieve the man's arm.
No, don't kill her! She's come so far!
The firefighters used pliers to slowly insert into the shark's mouth. After prying it open, they successfully freed the man.
Don't let her die. Please.
The firefighters finally used the truck to safely transport the shark to the seaside. Soon they reached the release area. With everyone's cooperation, the shark successfully returned to the ocean.
Hector back Diego is missing it! He's not missing it!